Hi there, and welcome to Still Learning. I'm your host, Fortune Fowle, and if you're new here, welcome to a space that's all about progression, not perfection. The fact that we are becoming people, which means we have not arrived at who we are meant to be, but we are just getting to our destination. And so I invite you and welcome to Still Learning. Happy Still Learning Monday. Honestly, guys, if you are watching this on video, you can definitely tell that there's a bit of a difference, right? Like, I'm definitely not having my stuffed bear behind me, and that is because I'm no longer in my childhood bedroom. I have officially moved after literally the last 3 episodes of saying, I'm gonna move soon, I'm gonna move soon. I have finally made that move, guys, and I'm so excited to actually talk to you guys about the process of the last week and a half. Well, no, today actually marks 2 weeks since I officially moved. And so 2 weeks ago, I got in my car, all packed up with all my belongings, and drove down. Mind you, it was a 5 hour drive. And let me tell you something, guys, that may not seem like a long time to some people who are pros and professionals as drivers. But for me, that was a huge like adult milestone to have driven down all by myself, do the 5 hour drive. Like I was really proud of myself, guys. Like I felt like I just really accomplished something and I did. At least for myself, I did. And so I really think it kind of symbolized, okay, symbolized kind of crazy because all I did was literally just drive myself down. But I feel like it symbolizes this new level of like adulthood and independence that I'm exploring now and entering in this season of my life. And I'm just excited to be able to present that here to you guys and talk about how I've been doing and how I've been feeling since I've moved. And to be really honest with you guys, it's actually been very challenging. Like it has been a difficult move, a difficult transition, not in the sense that anything bad is happening. Just want to preference that, put that out there. I think it's the fact that I didn't realize and recognize how actually difficult this transition would be for me. I didn't deep how kind of being uprooted from all the things that were familiar to me and known to me. I didn't realize how much safety I placed in my home or even in college or even in just like what I know, what is common to me, and now being in a place of unfamiliarity. I kind of feel like an outsider looking in. And when I say that, I don't mean it in the sense of it's a negative thing. Actually, I mean it in a positive thing where I'm just kind of learning again how to find my new normal. I'm very much a routine person, and so my routine has completely shifted and changed. Actually, I currently don't have a routine right now because I have to now figure out what my new normal is going to be. What is life here going to look like? And I think that maybe one of the most challenging and humbling experiences of this move for me so far is the reality of the fact that I am in a season of rebuilding. And we are going to talk about that in this episode of what that means, what that looks like, and why that actually isn't a bad thing. Because I know that can sound really daunting and intimidating to have to rebuild because we always associate that term with the fact that you're starting from scratch. But generally, I'm not really starting from scratch. I already have a set foundation, which isn't Jesus. And so, how do I rebuild from here? What does this new season in my life look like? What does life here look like? I know that God has called me here and I know there's a purpose here, but how do I live and walk that out now? And so, really sitting in that in this last week and digesting that, reflecting that has been a bit of a process, but it's also been really helpful because it's kind of been helping me remember my why because I've had some really difficult moments these last couple weeks. Some moments where I almost cried and I just felt really overwhelmed and consumed with a lot of anxiety and dealing with imposter syndrome and dealing with feeling like, am I making the right choices? Am I good enough for this? And so we are going to unpack all of that in today's episode. Really, this episode feels like a venting session, a therapy session, and maybe it's really a call for me to find a new therapist. Don't worry, guys. It's definitely on my list to do because just even being here and experiencing these changes and transitions, like I thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It kind of is a big of a deal. Like it is actually now settling into me that this is new fortune. You are experiencing some newness, some change, and it's okay that it can seem daunting. How are we going to face this? How are we going to navigate this in a way that you are thriving, not surviving? I'm very big on not just surviving, but thriving. And so really excited to unpack all of that today and get into our conversation. And so let's start from the very beginning. As I mentioned earlier, I moved down here about 2 weeks ago, and then I moved in the next day. So I was staying in my sister's old apartment when I moved in because I wanted to come a day earlier, just so that when we move in the next day, like we can start off very early in the morning and start getting majority of the apartment set up. Me and my sister's goal was to have the apartment set up throughout that weekend to just get it set up because I started work literally 2 days after I moved into my new apartment. And so that was the goal. That was the plan. But as I'm sure you guys all know already, life does not always go to plan. And so on the day that we were moving in, my sister had hired movers to help us remove a lot of the major big furniture, bookshelves, beds, couches. And the movers were scheduled to arrive like 8:30 to 10:30. So that was their arrival time window. And they did not arrive on that time, guys. In fact, they arrived at like 6 p.m., close to 7 p.m. And I do not lie, that is very much true. And so imagine this. You have to move. My sister had a limited time because she also had to return the key to her apartment by a certain time. So we're waiting for these movers. My sister's calling them and asking where they're at, trying to get an ETA on them. And they are just being unresponsive, or they keep pushing back or giving delay. So this will be a moment where you might think to panic. But God is so good, guys, because the move somehow went smoothly because he had sent helpers. He has sent helpers our way. Shout out to all of my sister's friends who came down and helped us out to move all of that furniture. Because listen, guys, don't be fooled. I go to the gym, I work out, but I'm very much doing light weights. Give me a 5 pound. Give me a 25 pound on a good day. You know what I mean? I'm nowhere near strong. Well, let me not say that. Because maybe one day I could pick up a bookshelf. But we're not at that point. We're not at that even now. So shout out to all of the great men who came down and helped us to move. And that was a long process. We moved majority of the apartment by the time the movers got here. And we were moving about 2 floors up. And then the way the apartment is structured, it was like built wide instead of high. And so the hallways were long. It was actually a pretty long and tedious process. But we give glory to God because everything worked out. And the movers did help a little bit when they arrived. I mean, by then, most of the apartment was cleared out. And they did move the rest of my sister's room. So her headboard, her bed. And that was about it. And unfortunately, sadly, in the process, some things did get broken when they were moving things. But, I'm just grateful, even though it didn't necessarily go to plan with the movers. I did get an opportunity to meet some new people, and I got banchan at the end of the night, which, if you know anything about me, I love banchan and I love me some Korean style food. So honestly, it was a win-win, and I'm grateful that we were able to get everything moved in. And they also helped her friends help us build some furniture because we also had furniture that needed to be built. So we did end up going to sleep close to 4 a.m. But hey, we moved in. And so despite the chaotic process and journey of it all, we are here now. And so from there, we kind of try to set up most of what we can. And then I had work. And it was kind of crazy to think about. I also don't think that I really sat with the fact it was like back to back to back to back. I was having this very steady, smooth, kind of like summer. Like my summer was definitely at a slower pace this year compared to the pace that my life is currently running at right now. Like I feel like I was driving 50 miles per hour over the summer, and now I'm driving full throttle now with this move. And so it's really was overwhelming, but I am grateful that my first week of work was just like orientation. And so online modules, get to work at home and be paid, which we all love that, but also for the in-person trainings and skills. It was really nice to be able to get to know more of like the work culture, the environment, my benefits, because that's important now as an adult to know your benefits, life insurance, retirement. Yes, important to know all those things, taxes, W-2 for all those things. So the things that make you an adult and adjusting to that and taking that in and really getting that information and resources. And also it's really nice to get to know more about the culture and the environment of where I'm going to be working, because I am a firm believer that your work environment, the culture, and the people who you work with really can make or break your job. I have experienced it for myself. And so it seems like such an incredible environment for me to be able to grow, and that will cultivate me and build me up and strengthen me in my professional career and as a nurse. And I can see why God has placed me here, because it has just been very, in a sense, rewarding how humbled I've been. And I know that sounds crazy because usually, like, hearing you were humble with it and you find that rewarding is kind of like there's a dichotomy there that doesn't sound normal. But let me explain to you guys why this experience has been rewarding. And it's because after my first week of orientation, this past week, I've actually started on the floor, on the unit, and I have a great preceptor. She's really nice and she's encouraging, which I'm grateful for. And my educators and leaders, that's another thing. Here, there's a lot of support at my hospital. I am in the new grad residency program, and so that gives you additional support, but I just wasn't expecting the bolster support around me. Like, I have my coach, my educator, my preceptor, my leaders. I have like three leaders, like, and then also the nurses on my unit are actually very encouraging and really nice and just like, you got this, and like, you're doing a great job. And we've all been there, like, you're new. And so that level of encouragement and grace that they've been showing to me has been really encouraging, and it's nice to receive, especially because I have been going through it this last week, guys. And so in this first week of being on my unit, I struggled a lot. And I definitely think it was my perfectionism tapping in and really trying to take me out. But I struggled a lot with the fact that I'm new. I think that I didn't realize how easy it is when you are new and you are trying to figure out your footing to kind of forget your why and your purpose. And I have a friend back in Boston who has been a nurse for over a year now. And I remember she gave me this advice like right when I was coming up on graduation. And she was like, hey, don't forget your why. And I don't think I really deeped when she gave me that advice then, like what she meant by that. But just in the 2 days, just in the 2 days of me working on my unit, I completely understood where she was coming from. It was this truth of like, I felt like, am I in the right place? Am I in the right career? Because I feel like I wasn't picking up on things quickly enough and I wasn't adapting fast enough. And I guess I should also further explain and for further context, let you guys know that the things that I'm doing my first 2 days on my unit, technically I shouldn't be doing. Like, there are things I should be doing until week 5. And I know that can be like, what? That shouldn't happen, all these different things. But for how I am as a learner, like, you know how people say, if you just drop your baby in a pool to learn how to swim, do not advise dropping your baby in a pool. Please don't do that. But I'm that. And funny enough, I get that analogy, but I can't swim. But I'm that. Like, when it comes to learning, I'm very hands-on. I'm very much like, if I keep doing this over and over again, I will get it. Like, I'm very much someone who's like, okay, this is where I went wrong. This is how I can go right. Please tell me if I'm making a mistake. Please guide me. Please correct me as I'm doing this. I'm very much that kind of a person of like, I do kind of thrive in a sink or swim kind of mentality, which I don't know how good of a thing that is, but that's just personally how I kind of learn. And there are different kind of nuances surrounding that, because I do also like to have some pace. Like, I'm not like just completely throw me in into the deep end, but I am someone who kind of like adapts in that way. And it really is, to be honest, overwhelming for me in the beginning. but somehow I managed to do it. And it is just a way that I learn. Like, it's a really interesting, like, it's overwhelming for me, but it is really beneficial to me and in my learning and gaining new skills. And so my first 2 days, I'm doing certain things that I shouldn't be doing, and as a new person. And so I think that also that added a layer of pressure. And the reason why that is the case, and it's not because they are trying to overwork me or anything like that, is because my leaders believe in me and see a lot of potential in me and the kind of nurse I can be. And they have vocalized this, and it is nice to hear, but it's also hard for me to hear because I am not seeing that within myself. Like, I am not seeing the nurse that they are seeing. And that is what I've been struggling with. Instead of me thinking, how can this get better? Or that it can only get better from here, I'm thinking it can only get worse from here. And it's really a shift and a thing I'm working on now because I really try to be really optimistic and positive. And when I'm talking with my friends, I really try to always give the most positive and a different outlook and perspective because really a lot of the things, not all the time, but our mind really plays an important role in how we view things and how we receive things and how we enter and lead and walk out in life. And so I really try to have a more positive outlook and perspective because I think that just helps me in terms of growing and helps me be able to see, okay, but what if I look at it this way? Instead of it something being against me, let it be something that's for me. And so I've really been trying to shift my mindset to that and honestly made it a prayer of mine for God to help me see myself as the nurse they see me becoming because they see me becoming this great and amazing nurse. And God clearly placed me here for a reason. So He knows that I'm very much capable. And before I even started my job, I believed that. And I knew that with like this complete assuredness. So I can't lose that just because it's tough right now, just because I'm not picking up on everything so easily. And that's why I have to give myself grace and remember, I can do this. I am capable. I am just in a season right now where my capacity is being increased. I have to give myself grace to know that, okay, this is where I'm at, but that doesn't mean I can't grow from here. I can grow from here. And it's the fact that they see the nurse that I'm becoming, which means this is a process, Fortune. Enjoy the process that you're in because it's only been 2 days. Like I literally had to rise so fortunate it's only been 2 days. And my preceptor is so kind. You're doing a really good job, like taking on these things. I know it's overwhelming, but you're doing a pretty good job for it being your first time. So really taking those moments and taking those words in. I know like statistically our brain really holds on more into negativity than positivity, which honestly sucks. But really holding on to those words and remembering, yeah, giving myself those prompts. Fortune, you are actually doing not so bad. Like the fact that you're still here, you're still showing up, commend yourself for that, for just showing up. Like sometimes we don't always need to show up 100% of the time. It would be great if we show up as 100%. But maybe sometimes we just show up for the fact of who we're going to become in the showing up, not because we already arrived by showing up. And so I think just embracing that, trying to give myself grace for that. And one of the things I want to start implementing is telling myself at the end of the week, going through my week and be like, okay, this is where we're at. What am I proud of myself for doing? What is something that I did good? How, in terms of maybe taking care of my patient or the conversation I've had, because despite it being a difficult and chaotic week and me feeling overwhelmed, I've honestly loved my patients. I loved caring for them and being to build a relationship with them. And I even had a French speaking patient. I can't speak French at all, but my preceptor can, thank God. But the patient wanted me to start learning French and she was trying to teach me French and it was really nice. And having moments like that, brighten up my day, remind me of why I'm there, remind me that like, even if I feel like I came up short today, that's okay. There's still room to grow. And the fact that I showed up still is a lot. Because sometimes people don't show up at all. The fact that you're even there, you don't even realize how much your presence can mean to people. But your patience and showing up for them and your presence and having care for these people and make them feel like someone is watching over them and someone is like rooting for them and supporting them, that is invaluable. I've seen what in the healthcare field, your presence can do for a person and your level of care for them, for a stranger, like it is invaluable. And it just reminds me of my purpose. So sitting in that and just being like, okay, you may not be getting everything right, but if you can remember this, if you can hold tight to this in your heart and your why in this, you're going to be okay, Fortune. You're going to get through it. Everyone has a hard time and everyone is new. I think I'm not giving myself grace. I'm really trying to, like, at the fact that I am new. I'm new. Okay, like, and I feel like it should definitely be talked more about the transition from like studying to practice, because studying nursing is way different from practicing nursing. It's a lot more difficult. And I knew that was gonna be hard. Like, I had nurses tell me in school, like, oh yeah, it is way different, but it really is different. It is really different. But just hold on to that. Don't let that be something that intimidates you and makes you want to run away. And I had one of the nurses tell me, hey, don't run, keep showing up. I know it's hard, be here. And really, that was encouraging because I'm like, okay, Fortune, I know it was hard and it was overwhelming, and you might want to run, but stick it through, because this is only day 2. But imagine week 3, month 3, a year from now, this is gonna come to you so normally and naturally, and you're gonna be surprised by the kind of nurse that you're becoming. And the very person they saw you become in the beginning, the very person that God saw you be before you were even formed in your mother's womb, you're going to become that. Just keep going through and walking in the process. The process isn't always easy, but the process is what helps develop us into the best product. And so go through the trials and tribulations, but know that you are going to overcome them and actually become even better than you thought you would be. Because I really do think that in this process, I will end up being better than I thought that I was, that I ever could be. And I'm gonna surprise myself, and hopefully I could surprise others and bring so much healing and joy and light into this profession and really be an advocate. And I'm gonna stick it through. It's challenging, but it's good when things challenge you. That means there's room for growth. That means there's room to improve and become better. And that's always a good thing. It's good to position yourself and place in the environments where you get to be pushed to become a better version of yourself. And that's exactly where I'm at. I'm in the right environment. I'm in the right place. I know that for a fact. And so just embracing that step by step, giving myself that grace. And I don't think I finished my thought when I was saying what I'm trying to do at the end of the week is tell myself what I'm proud of, one thing, and then one thing that I can improve on, and leaving it at that. Because when I tell you guys, I've had a little bit of difficulty going to sleep because all I'm thinking about is where I went wrong. I really want to change that and be like, okay, this is where we went right. This is where we can improve, and leave it at that. No one's perfect, but the fact that you keep showing up and you're willing to become better, you're in the right place, you're in the right position, and your heart is in the right posture. So keep going. And that's encouraging. That is nice to know and is rewarding. I can see why this career field is so rewarding. And also, I'm in a field that's all about you being a continuous learner. Like, nursing is a field where you are continuously learning because policies change, healthcare protocols change, insurances change. Like, so many things change in this field. It's ever evolving. So you as a nurse have to be ever evolving. And I think that's also one of the beauties of this field, of how much flexibility you have to have and be willing to evolve with it. And I think that's what I just been discovering. And maybe some of my ways that I have to improve into personally with myself, because I just realized, like, okay, maybe I'm not as flexible as I thought I was. I didn't realize that there's some rigidity to myself because I am such a routine person, and I'm such a person who's like, once I'm familiar and comfortable, I can maybe get settled in that a little too quickly. And so newness, so much newness, especially, can be overwhelming and daunting for me. And it's been a while since I experienced this level of change and newness. So I don't think I really deeped how crazy it can be and how overwhelming it can be for myself. But I am grateful because it has revealed to me the ways that I have to grow. and ways that I'm like, okay, these are ways that I have to shift my mindset. I didn't realize this is necessarily a struggle of mine, but okay, how do I make it no longer something that I struggle with and something that I'm learning to become better from? And constantly working through that and shifting my mind through that and applying steps and doing what I need to do to achieve that and being okay that it may not happen overnight. It's not going to be this exponential overnight deliverance. I mean, it's great when we get that, but it's day by day, step by step, little by little, until it becomes this big compounding thing that you're like, whoa, how did I get here? But you very much can get there. And so that is really what I have been navigating with work in this last week. And just, it's led me to really kind of sit in the fact that, wow, really this feels like I'm rebuilding again, not restarting, because there's definitely a difference, but rebuilding. The difference between that is to restart is to completely start from scratch, but I'm not starting from scratch. I have a firm foundation and it's unshakable and it's unmovable. So storms can come, winds can blow. But I am set, I'm firm on the solid rock that is Jesus. And so in this new season of my life, how am I rebuilding? And how do I do that? What does that look like? And I honestly can't tell you guys yet. But what has been helping me kind of process this is just, I think about it with people when they remodel their home. You're not getting rid of the literal concrete that the home was built on, but let's say you're just remodeling your kitchen. Maybe originally you had this nice cottage style, farmhouse style kitchen, but now you want a more modern kitchen, right? You just change the interior, you change the design because it's more fitting for this season. Or I think about how certain homes in general are just built differently for different seasons. Like the homes built in the desert are way different from homes that are built in Alaska because the climates are different, the seasons are different. And it made me kind of understand that I have to rebuild in a sense. Maybe I need to remodel my kitchen or my home or break down certain walls to increase the floor plan, right? Because in breaking down these walls, increases the space, increases the dimensions, it creates more ability to be more creative and kind of rework the space. And it's still the same foundation of home, but we're just changing the interior so it's more fitting for this season that I'm in. And also doing so, it makes me more flexible and it helps increase like capacity. And that is a gem that the Holy Spirit really gave to me and understanding like, hey, in this remodeling, in this rebuilding stage of life that you are in, you're also in a position to increase your capacity. You're in a position to figure out what you need in this season and what you don't need anymore, what you need to let go of that is no longer serving you where you're at now. So maybe when you rebuild your kitchen, you might keep all your utensils. I mean, I can imagine buying whole new pots and things like that. You just are rebuilding the cabinets and redoing the floor, but you're still keeping certain things because it still serves you in that season. So there's no need to get anything new in that way. So it's kind of finding that balance and figure out what serves you and what doesn't. And it really is an opportunity to explore. It's an opportunity to be experimental and kind of be surprised by who you become in this stage of your life. And it's been helpful for me to kind of view it that way and understand like, hey, I'm not starting from scratch. I am not lost or confused. I'm actually learning how to live in my now and my present in a way that serves me and helps me become better and thrive, not survive. Say it with me, guys. Thrive and not survive. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And honestly, I'm really excited to be able to come back to you guys throughout the season, telling you how I'm rebuilding and what I'm getting rid of. Like learning that I actually was a bit more rigid and a lot more stuck in routine than I thought I was. And this is now a time in a season where I actually need to learn to be more flexible and where my capacity needs to increase so I can handle the things that I am currently embarking on in this part of my life. And it's not a daunting thing, it's actually a great thing because I get to grow and it's an opportunity to become better. And I think that's always so exciting and trying to have that outlook and perspective in life. And I can't wait to come back to you guys and tell you how much better I feel about my nursing career and how much like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm killing it as a nurse. Like I aced it and I know I will. I really do hope that this conversation was encouraging to you. And I hope that you guys are able to see that it's okay to have challenging moments and difficult moments, but don't sit in it. Like, I really do encourage you, don't sit in it. Try to see the ways that this can be turned around for your good because everything works out for your good. And there's power in what you say. There's power in how you live out in your perspective and your mindset because that guides on how you live and how you respond to the situations and circumstances that life hands to you. So try to view it and take these moments in life that sometimes can be seen as disadvantages and see how they can actually be an advantage to you and see how they can actually be an opportunity for you. How can this be an opportunity for me to become the version of myself that I genuinely want to be and enjoy the art of rebuilding, the season of rebuilding, the ability to redesign and make a new space that more fitting for the person you're becoming. I mean, I was so excited to move because I got to completely redo and have my bedroom. And guys, I'm actually really happy about how my bedroom turned out because it's just so full of life and character. And even the posters that I put up, like at first, like I was like, oh, what if I hate these posters 2 weeks from now? But honestly, I was like, if I do, I can just change them. It's as simple as that. The walls are still here. I can just change the posters. And that's kind of life. You still have your foundation. You still have your infrastructure. Don't be afraid to remodel and change the design and to transition in a way that's more fitting and serves you in the season that you're in. Continues to be a part of the evolutionary process because this is what we're all about. We're still learning. Okay, we're still evolving, we're still becoming. We have not arrived at who we are meant to be, but every day we're discovering who that person is. And it can be a treacherous process at times and they're full of trials. But at the end, it's also a very beautiful process that allows us to embrace the journeys and the growing pains, but the celebrations and all the things that life has to offer. So I hope that this was a really encouraging episode for you guys. I found encouragement, even if you didn't. I found encouragement in this episode, and I am really looking forward to what the rest of the season has to unfold and having more conversations with you guys like this. And I'm just really grateful. I'm sitting in this moment of gratitude because in moments like this, I'm so grateful for the podcast, how God has led me to start it because it's just like, this is just as much for me as it is for anyone else because sometimes I just need that reminder that I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm not perfect, but that's okay. I'm progressing each and every single day and embrace that, embrace the process and the journey because that's actually the best parts of life in the journey, in the process. And so I really hope that you guys enjoyed the conversation. I know I said that like a million times already, so I'm gonna stop yapping. But it was so good talking to you guys, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Still Learning. Bye.